Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen, welcome back to Sunday morning in the Old Cookbook Show. Today we're going to do a recipe out of this old cookbook called The Story of Crisco. We're going to make a recipe called Ginger Gems, and along the way we'll kind of go through the story of Crisco. Now, starts out obviously with Crisco. So into the stand mixer I'm going to put Crisco and sugar, and we're going to cream that together. Okay, so the story of Crisco starts in the late 1800s, a time of huge changes in food in North America. Now, the world, for that matter. The mid 1850s, you see the introduction of baking soda, baking powder, cornstarch. I mean, it's kind of amazing to think of that. Before 1855 or so, cornstarch was something that existed, but it wasn't something that you could eat. It was still poisonous because of the manufacturing process. So you end up with a company in the late 1800s called Proctor and Gamble. They make soap. They're looking for a way to make soap cheaper. They want to move away from animal fats and use something that's easier to get a hold of. So they're looking at cottonseed oil. And in order to make soap out of cottonseed oil, they have to figure out how to get a liquid oil at room temperature to be solid at room temperature. Their scientists are working away. They come up with a way to essentially hydrogenate cottonseed oil to make soap out of it. Someone in the science department says, "Hey, wait a second, you know what? You can eat this." And so, giant corporation, what are they going to do? They figure out how to sell it to the American public. What are you going to call it? Well, it's crystallized cottonseed oil. Let's call it Crisco. So in 1911, they release Crisco to the masses. And in 1912, they put out this cookbook. Now, this is the 1915 version, but the 1912 version is pretty much exactly the same. Couple of extra recipes in this version than the 1912 version. And they spend the first 25 pages of the book telling you the story of Crisco, telling you what Crisco is, without telling you what Crisco is. At no point in the 25 pages do they let you know that Crisco is hydrogenated cottonseed oil. They just call it vegetable oil. They say it's a fat from vegetables. They don't want to tell you cottonseed oil because cottonseed oil had a bit of a bad reputation at that point. It was not something that you wanted to eat. And they didn't want to spend a whole lot of time disassociating you from something that you didn't want to eat into something that you did want to eat. So they spend all of that time selling the brand. It's Crisco. You can trust it. It's vegetable oil. It's Crisco. You can trust it. So in here I've got flour. To that I'm adding salt and baking powder. And we'll give that just a little bit of a stir. Now, in order to sell the American public on this brand new type of cooking fat, to compete with butter and lard, they rip a page right out of the playbook of all of the baking powder and baking soda companies, and they put out this cookbook. So a year after the product hits shelves, this cookbook comes out jam-packed with recipes using Crisco, and they give it away for free. And they essentially build an entire market from scratch around what we would call today vegetable shortening. And even today, it's not even really called vegetable shortening, it's just called shortening. But really, it is a vegetable shortening. And I laugh at those first, 20, 25 pages because I worked most of my career filming television ads, advertising. And a lot of those were working for food companies and sitting in meetings and watching them walk right up to the edge, that thin line between truth and not truth. That whole story at the beginning is that it's very much, we're going to tell you a little bit, but we're not going to tell you everything. We're going to let you come to your own conclusions. We're going to be a little vague, and if you jump to the wrong conclusion, well, that's your fault. You jumped to that conclusion. We didn't say it. Now, as is the case for most of these mixtures, we're going to put in a few scoops of the flour, And as that mixes in, alternate with the milk. Now, one of the things that drives people nuts, and I see it in the comments section all the time, is that I'm not trying to recreate these recipes exactly as they are in the recipe books. And I'll tell you why not. Doesn't matter if I was standing here in period costume with an open fire behind me or a coal stove or whatever, talking in ye olde English. None of the recipes in this book can be reproduced exactly the way they were meant to be produced in 1915 when it was published. This is called Crisco. It still says all vegetable on the front, but the process and the base ingredients that go into that can have changed. You know, I don't know how many times they've changed, but dozens of times they have changed, because just like the original company, Proctor and Gamble, was looking for a cheaper way to make soap, in the 110 years since that was, you know, brought to market, they have continued to try to figure out cheaper ways to make that. And so they have always moved to the next cheaper base vegetable oil along the way in order to make that cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, more profit, more profit, more profit, more profit. So today, that can lists ingredients on the side that are palm oil and soybean oil. And it's a different process because fully hydrogenated oils are now frowned upon, not really used anymore. I'm sure it reacts the same, tastes the same, or pretty close to the same. And it's not just this Crisco book that you can't recreate exactly these recipes. Pretty much any recipe written before 1940 cannot be replicated exactly in 2023. So a viewer saw me struggling with this KitchenAid beater scraper and emailed me and said, I own a company that makes this beater scraper. I'm going to send you one, and if you like it, maybe pass along that you like it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. That is the first time I've ever mixed something in that stand mixer where I didn't have to stop 4 or 5 times and scrape down the side of the bowl, which you're not supposed to have to do if you have one of those scrapers. Absolutely love it. Thank you very much for sending it to me. Next up, candied ginger. That goes in. This is the only flavoring in this mixture. And I'm supposed to just stir that in and then divide this into gem pans. Now, I don't have gem pans. I probably should have gem pans. I don't know that anyone today, 2023, is manufacturing new gem pans. Gem pans are something that you've got to go out and get at estate sales or, you know, antique markets, that sort of thing. They pretty much went out of fashion in the 1920s when everybody moved to a muffin tin. So I chose the thinnest or shallowest muffin tin that I own. Gem pans weren't any one shape. They were called gem pans because what you baked in them when you took it out looked like little gems. And I don't necessarily mean gem from the standpoint of it looked like little diamonds. There were many, many, many different shapes. So I'm just going to fill these into this muffin tin. And of course, the cups are coated in Crisco. The corporate kitchens in this time period, their whole goal was to take, in a lot of ways, existing recipes and shoehorning these new products in, and making sure that you knew the brand name of the product that they were selling. I think this one needs just a little bit more. There we go. And into the oven.
Oh, Glenn.
Hey, Jules.
Hey, friends. Hey, Glenn. Those are really
Pale.
pale. You don't usually use Crisco.
No. No.
They're really pale.
Not that I have anything against Crisco. I just... Why not use butter? Anyway. Yeah, It's very much a product of its time.
Okay, what is its time?
1915. Mm-hmm. You know, the only flavor in here is from the preserved or candied ginger. There's no vanilla. You know, it could stand from some powdered ginger mixed through to bring some ginger flavor to the whole thing. This is before. Like, this is the dawn. The pre-dawn. This is the pre-dawn of...
I feel like I need some music. I don't know. It has a very deep bass to it, but I'm not really sure how to put it.
2001. Dum, dum, dum. This is the pre-dawn of highly manufactured consumer food. So there's not much salt. There's not much sugar. There's not much flavor. They haven't yet dulled our senses to the point of having to over-flavor everything just to get you to have a reaction. Have you ever read The Dorito Effect? It's a book called The Dorito Effect.
It's a really good book.
Anyway.
It's really interesting. But at the same time, you don't know what the intention was. Like, it could be that they assumed you were going to put jam on it.
Well, yes.
Or honey.
Yes.
Or butter.
Or something. Or you're going to have this...
And not just eat it straight up, the way that we often eat muffins in our modern sense of muffins.
Yeah. This is not the modern muffin. This is pre-muffin muffin.
Like, you threw some, like I have some wonderful rhubarb ginger jam that would go great on that.
Yes. In of itself, it doesn't bring the flavor.
No.
You have to bring the flavor to it.
I'm just saying, there could be an assumption.
But, it's got a good texture. It is a very basic thing, and it is an early attempt to show people how to use a brand new consumer product in the marketplace.
That being said, you could add all sorts of things to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these other ones are very similar, and I see similar muffins in cookbooks even into the late 1920s. Not a whole lot in them in terms of flavor, because I guess, you were supposed to bring the flavor.
But the texture's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good base. Mm-hmm. You may really want to make this one your own, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're definitely going to want to add stuff to it.
I don't know if you got more in there, No, in that case, thanks for coming out. See you again soon.